This video covers how to do 95% confidence intervals for each level of a factor. So in the 95% CI tab, go at the top, go to number 1, select your outcome. And then in step number 2, select the factor. And then select the type of confidence interval that you will use. Here we'll use proportions because survived is a binary outcome. And we'll select the confidence level. We can add a target line if that makes sense. In this case, it doesn't really make sense, but we'll add one later. And so now at step 6 we can create the confidence intervals. And we see that we have 3 confidence intervals. That vertical gray dashed line, that represents the overall mean. One way to interpret these confidence intervals is that for the second class, their mean survival rate is about within the range of the overall value, so not statistically different. However, we can't say that for the first or third class. We see in the first class their survival rate is much higher than the average, and then for the third class their survival rate is much lower than the average rate. And that average rate is 0.382, which we see in the title, in the label below. And if we put a target line, maybe we would put it at 0.5. And we see that show up in the vertical green line. So if we wanted to say that passengers had at least a 50-50 chance, we can only say that for the first class they had odds that were better than even. So what we can do is also get these exact values listed below. We can list it alphabetically, and that's alphabetically by the group level name, or numerically by the actual rate. And the rates are on the right side, and then the group names are on the left. So we can sort that. And so it'll move it for us if we wanted to show who had the lowest and who had the highest values. We oftentimes want to see group differences. So within these within this output we can look at a proportion test, and this is similar to what we get in Power. We also can do it for t-test and a Poisson distribution. Poisson values are whole numbers, and we would use the t-distribution for those values. But here we have a proportion test. We can see that the significance, those differences are very significant, and we can get the actual proportions for each group. For example, first class had about a 62% survival rate. Oftentimes we want to look at differences between groups. And so here we would look at the difference in this top value. We would look at the difference between first and second class, and on the bottom right we'd have the difference between second and third class. As you can see, any way you compare it, all 3 groups are different. So this is how to do 95% confidence intervals and get post hoc pairwise comparisons, as well as group distribution tests. And this can be done in the 95% CI tab.